In our quest for an understanding, let us confront the pervasive illusion of dualism that shapes much of our perception of self. Throughout history and across cultures, humanity has grappled with the notion of a divided self, a higher self that strives for purity and spiritual transcendence, and a lower self tethered to earthly desires and egoic impulses. This dualistic framework, often depicted as a rider struggling to control the unruly horse of passions, reflects a fundamental split in our psyche. Theosophists, for instance, elaborate on this dualism by delineating the higher self as a spiritual entity and the lower self as the seat of mundane desires and attachments. This separation suggests a perpetual struggle within us, a battle between what is deemed noble and virtuous and what is seen as base and transient. The teachings of Zen philosophy, a different perspective emerges, one that challenges the very foundation of this dualistic paradigm. The concept of a higher and lower self is not entertained in the traditional sense. The belief in a higher self, according to Zen teachings, can itself be a cunning deception of the lower self. It suggests a division where none truly exists, a conceptual trap that perpetuates the illusion of separateness and conflict within our own being. When we view ourselves as a rider, the higher self striving to master the horse, the lower self, we inadvertently reinforce the notion of a divided self. This metaphorical struggle implies an inherent discord, a constant tension between opposing forces that prevents us from embracing the inherent unity of our existence. It is as if we are attempting to control waves upon the ocean, not realizing that our efforts only disturb the natural ebb and flow of life. The consequences of this dualistic thinking are profound. It leads to an internal conflict that permeates every aspect of our lives, a conflict between what we believe to be our higher aspirations and the undeniable realities of our human experience. We become trapped in a maze of self-imposed limitations, forever questioning whether our thoughts, actions, and choices stem from the spirit or the flesh, from the divine or the devilish. This split thinking, ingrained deeply within our collective consciousness, aggravates the very problem it seeks to resolve. It perpetuates a sense of duality where we perceive ourselves as fragmented beings divided between the noble and the ignoble, the spiritual and the material, the good and the bad. In doing so, we deny ourselves the opportunity to embrace the totality of our existence, to recognize that every aspect of our being, every thought and emotion, is an integral part of the cosmic tapestry. In our journey towards understanding inner strength, we must confront the futility of perpetual struggle against the perceived lower self. This segment delves into how our attempts to control or overcome the lower self often reinforce its illusionary existence, and how Zen teachings offer an alternative perspective that transcends this struggle. The concept of the lower self, as traditionally understood, represents our egoic mind, the seat of desires, fears, and attachments that bind us to the material world. This lower self is often seen as a hindrance to spiritual growth, something to be subdued or conquered in the pursuit of higher ideals and virtues. Theosophists and many spiritual traditions emphasize this dualistic view, depicting a continuous battle between the noble aspirations of the higher self and the base impulses of the lower self. Zen philosophy challenges this dualistic framework by questioning the validity of such distinctions. According to Zen teachings, the very belief in a higher self and a lower self perpetuates a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of reality. It suggests a division where none truly exists, a conceptual trap that leads to inner conflict and suffering. The metaphor of the rider and the horse. The rider represents the higher self, striving to control and direct the horse, the lower self. This imagery implies a struggle for dominance, where the rider must exert effort and willpower to tame the unruly impulses of the horse. Yet, in this struggle, both the rider and the horse are caught in a cycle of resistance and conflict, each reinforcing the existence of the other. Zen masters offer a different perspective. They propose that the very act of striving to overcome the lower self only strengthens its illusionary hold over us. By identifying ourselves as separate from our desires and impulses, we create a dichotomy that perpetuates suffering. The more we resist or suppress aspects of ourselves, the more power we give to those very aspects. When we label certain thoughts or emotions as belonging to the lower self, undesirable and unworthy of our true nature, we unwittingly create a division within our consciousness. This division leads to an inner conflict where we judge and condemn parts of ourselves, thereby perpetuating feelings of guilt, shame, and inadequacy. In Zen philosophy, there is no division between higher and lower aspects of self. The true self encompasses the totality of our being, the light and the shadow, the noble and the mundane. It is not something to be attained through effortful striving or suppression of desires. Rather, it is already present, inherent in every moment of existence, waiting to be recognized and embraced. The mirage of the lower self then becomes apparent when we realize that our efforts to control or suppress it only serve to reinforce its illusory nature. Like chasing after shadows in the dark, the more we struggle, the more elusive and intangible the lower self becomes. It is not a separate entity to be conquered, but a transient phenomenon that arises and passes like waves upon the ocean. A prominent voice in bridging Eastern and Western philosophies often spoke of this futility of struggle in spiritual growth. He emphasized the paradoxical nature of trying to overcome the ego through the ego itself. The very act of resisting the lower self only strengthens its grip on our consciousness. Instead of battling against our perceived imperfections and shortcomings, Watts encouraged a radical shift in perspective, a shift that involves embracing the totality of our human experience without judgment or condemnation. This shift is not about denying or suppressing aspects of ourselves, but about cultivating a deep sense of self-acceptance and compassion. At the heart of Zen philosophy lies the recognition that our perceived dualities, such as the higher self versus the lower self, are ultimately illusory. These dualities arise from our conceptual mind, which categorizes and divides the seamless fabric of reality into separate entities and opposing forces. Yet, in truth, there is no inherent division between spirit and matter, between the sacred and the mundane. Imagine for a moment the metaphor of the ocean. The ocean represents the totality of existence, vast, boundless, and ever-present. Within this ocean, waves arise and fall, each wave a transient expression of the ocean's infinite potential. Similarly, our thoughts, emotions, and experiences are like waves upon the ocean of consciousness, ephemeral and ever-changing, yet fundamentally inseparable from the ocean itself. Zen masters teach us to perceive ourselves not as separate from this ocean, but as integral expressions of its vastness. The true self, according to Zen, is not something to be attained through effort or achievement, but is already present in every moment of our existence. It is the unbounded awareness that witnesses the ebb and flow of thoughts and emotions without attachment or aversion. Eloquently articulated this perspective, emphasizing that our fundamental nature is beyond all concepts and divisions. He spoke of the inherent unity of existence, the seamless interconnection of all phenomena, both seen and unseen. In Watts's view, the illusion of dualism arises when we identify ourselves with limited concepts and labels, thereby obscuring the boundless nature of our being. To tap into our inner strength, then, is to transcend the limitations of dualistic thinking and embrace the totality of our existence. It is to recognize that our true essence is not defined by external achievements or the suppression of desires, but by the profound acceptance of what is here and now in this present moment. In Zen practice, practitioners engage in meditation and mindfulness to cultivate this awareness of the true self. Through meditation, we learn to observe the arising and passing of thoughts without judgment or interference. This practice fosters a deep sense of inner peace and equanimity, a recognition that our thoughts and emotions are transient phenomena, like clouds passing through the sky. Zen teachings encourage us to embody mindfulness in our daily lives, to be fully present and attentive to each moment as it unfolds. This mindful awareness allows us to discern the patterns of our conditioned mind, releasing attachments and aversions that perpetuate suffering and discord within ourselves. Often spoke of the paradoxical nature of spiritual growth, the realization that the very act of striving for self-improvement can reinforce the illusion of separation and inadequacy. He encouraged a radical shift in perspective, a shift from striving to simply being, from seeking to accepting. In this vast and mysterious universe, everything flows in a dance of continuous change and transformation. From the gentle undulations of ocean waves to the winding course of a river through valleys and plains, life manifests in fluidity. Yet, amidst this natural rhythm, humanity often seeks to impose rigid structures and control over the unpredictable currents of existence. Consider for a moment the image of a snake gliding effortlessly through grasslands or along the branches of a tree. The snake embodies the essence of wiggly vitality, a graceful undulation that navigates its environment with agility and harmony. In contrast, observe the tendencies of human behavior, the urge to delineate straight lines, impose grid patterns on landscapes, and compartmentalize knowledge into neat categories. Why, you might wonder, do we as humans gravitate towards Euclidean order, towards straight lines and neatly arranged grids? Would suggest that this inclination stems from our innate desire for control and certainty in an otherwise unpredictable world. We seek to map out our surroundings, to draw clear boundaries between what we perceive as separate entities, and to establish a sense of stability amidst the flux of existence. Control often leads us into an illusion, a mirage of solidity in a fundamentally wiggly phenomenon. When we examine closely, we realize that Earth itself is not flat and uniform, but rather wiggly and uneven. Mountains rise and valleys dip, oceans swell and recede, and the very ground beneath our feet is a mosaic of geological formations shaped by millennia of natural processes. Imagine watching people jog along a path, each step a determined stride forward in what they perceive to be the shortest distance between 2 points of straight line. Yet, if we take a broader perspective, we recognize that the Earth's surface is far from flat or linear. It curves and undulates, influenced by geological forces and natural contours. The concept of a straight line, therefore, is merely a human construct, a convenient abstraction that simplifies our navigation of a complex and dynamic world. To tap into our inner strength is to embrace life's wiggly phenomenon fully. It is to relinquish the need for rigid control and instead flow with the currents of existence. Just as a skilled surfer rides the waves or a dancer moves in synchrony with music's rhythm, so too can we attune ourselves to the natural flow of life. Consider the wisdom inherent in wiggly vitality, the ability to adapt, to flexibly respond to changing circumstances, and to find beauty in the ebb and flow of life's experiences. When we release our grip on rigid structures and embrace the fluidity of existence, we open ourselves to an understanding of interconnectedness and harmony. Mindfulness, in its essence, invites us to cultivate awareness and presence in each moment. It encourages us to observe without judgment, to embrace the wiggly nature of our thoughts and emotions, and to recognize the impermanence of all phenomena. Through mindfulness practices such as meditation, we can cultivate a deeper sense of inner strength or resilience that arises from our ability to flow with life's currents rather than resist them. Expanding our consciousness involves transcending limited perspectives and embracing a wiggly awareness that acknowledges the interconnectedness of all life. When we recognize that we are part of a larger tapestry of existence, a web of relationships and interactions spanning time and space, we begin to see beyond the confines of our individual identity. In Taoist philosophy, the concept of yin and yang illustrates the complementary forces of nature, feminine and masculine, dark and light, contraction and expansion. These dualities are not fixed but flow seamlessly into one another, creating a dynamic equilibrium that sustains the universe's harmony. Consider the play of opposites in wiggly reality, the tension between order and chaos, structure and spontaneity, certainty and uncertainty. Each polarity exists in relation to the other, forming a dialectical dance that propels life's evolution and transformation. At its core, faith is about embracing the fluidity of life, a recognition that the ground beneath our feet is not solid but wiggly and ever-shifting. Just as a skilled sailor trusts the wind to guide their vessel across the seas, so too can we cultivate faith in the unseen currents of existence. The human inclination to seek solid foundations in religion and philosophy reflects a deeper yearning for stability amidst life's uncertainties. We often look for something tangible to anchor our beliefs and actions, a rock of ages on which to stand. Yet, as would suggest, true faith requires us to release our grip on fixed foundations and instead learn to swim in the ocean of existence. Life is inherently uncertain, a continuous flux of beginnings and endings, challenges and triumphs. To tap into our inner strength is to cultivate a profound trust in the unfolding of life's mysteries. It is to embrace uncertainty not as a threat, but as an invitation to grow and evolve. The more we strive to control outcomes and impose rigid structures on our lives, the more we resist the natural flow of existence. This paradox of control is illuminated by urging us to surrender the illusion of certainty and instead surrender to the innate intelligence of life itself. Adaptability is key to navigating life's uncertainties with grace and resilience. Just as a tree bends with the wind and a river finds its course around obstacles, so too can we learn to adapt to changing circumstances without losing sight of our true essence. In Taoist philosophy, the concept of yin and yang illustrates the interplay of opposing forces, darkness and light, contraction and expansion. These dualities are not fixed but flow seamlessly into one another, creating a dynamic equilibrium that sustains the universe's harmony. Embracing polarities allows us to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, joy and sorrow, love and loss, certainty and uncertainty. Each polarity enriches our journey and deepens our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Surrender is not about giving up or relinquishing control, but about trusting the natural flow of life. It is about releasing the need to force outcomes and instead allowing space for creativity and spontaneity to unfold. The essence of faith resides in the present moment, the eternal now, where past and future converge. By anchoring ourselves in the here and now, we transcend the limitations of linear thinking and embrace the wiggly vitality of life's unfolding. Mindfulness practices such as meditation and conscious breathing cultivate presence and awareness in each moment. They invite us to observe without judgment, to witness the wiggly dance of thoughts and emotions, and to anchor ourselves in the timeless rhythm of existence. Attachment to fixed outcomes and rigid beliefs only perpetuates suffering and stagnation. By letting go of attachment and embracing the fluidity of life, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of inner peace and fulfillment. Uncertainty is not something to be feared, but embraced as an integral part of the human experience. It invites us to step into the unknown with courage and curiosity, trusting that each moment holds the potential for growth and transformation. Change is the essence of life, a continuous cycle of birth, growth, decay, and renewal. To resist change is to resist life itself, denying ourselves the opportunity to evolve and expand our consciousness. We now move into the final segment of our exploration, the dance with the waves. This metaphor encapsulates the essence of navigating life's ebbs and flows with grace, spontaneity, and a profound sense of trust. Imagine life as a vast ocean, its waves symbolizing the myriad experiences, challenges, and joys we encounter. To dance with the waves is to engage with life in its fullest, to embrace both the calm and the storm with equal poise. The universe is a fundamentally wiggly phenomenon. From the smallest particles to the largest cosmic structures, everything is in a state of constant motion and change. Human beings, however, often seek to impose a sense of order and rigidity on this inherently fluid existence. This desire for Euclidean order manifests in our straight lines, grid patterns, and neatly categorized boxes. Yet, true vitality lies in embracing the wiggliness of life, the undulating, unpredictable flow that defines our existence. To dance with the waves is to learn to swing, to move in harmony with the rhythms of life rather than resisting them. Swinging is an expression of freedom, an embodiment of trust in the natural flow of existence. It requires us to let go of our need for control and embrace the spontaneity and creativity that arise when we move with, rather than against, life's currents. Consider the act of swimming. When we swim, we do not cling to the water or attempt to make it solid. Instead, we learn to trust the water to support us, to move with its currents rather than against them. This is the essence of faith in action, a dynamic interplay of trust, relaxation, and responsiveness. Similarly, in life, we must learn to trust the fluidity of existence, to float and glide rather than struggle and sink. Imagine for a moment being 2 years old again. Recall the sensation of encountering a tree for the very first time. It wasn't just a tree, it was a marvel of nature, an ancient sentinel reaching its leafy arms towards the sky. To the child's eyes, the tree wasn't merely a static object, it was alive, breathing, and pulsating with a vitality that connected it to the very heart of the earth. In those early years of life, everything is new and extraordinary. Each day unfolds like a storybook, filled with magical encounters and endless possibilities. The world is not yet defined by labels and categories. Instead, it is a vast canvas waiting to be painted with the colors of imagination and wonder. Consider the profound insight shared by a sage observer when you fully realize that to be surprised at everything is high wisdom. You get a new point of view towards the world. What does it mean to be surprised at everything? It is to approach each moment with a fresh perspective, free from the weight of expectations and assumptions. We often lose touch with this innate ability to be surprised. We become accustomed to the rhythms of daily life, the familiar sights and sounds that blend into the background of our existence. A tree becomes just a tree, a mundane feature of the landscape that we pass by without a second thought. But what if we could reclaim that childlike wonder, even in our adult years? What if we could look at the world not through the lens of familiarity, but with the awe and curiosity of a young explorer? This shift in perception opens doors to new realms of. Think back to the sun as you once saw it through the eyes of a child. It wasn't merely a blazing orb in the sky, it was a marvel, a radiant ball of light that painted the world in shades of gold and blue. The sun was not bound by scientific explanations or astronomical distances. It was a friend, a companion in the daily dance of life. The essence of tapping into our inner strength lies in embracing the extraordinary within the ordinary. As another wise voice remarked, the world created by the divine is a form of nonsense, and one of the most important features of the divine mind is humor. This perspective challenges us to see beyond the surface of things and into their deeper essence. Consider the humble rhinoceros, a creature so improbable that its existence seems almost mythical. Yet there it stands, a testament to the playful creativity of the universe. The rhinoceros doesn't conform to our expectations or definitions. It simply exists, inviting us to marvel at its sheer audacity. In our quest for inner strength, let us rekindle the flame of wonder that burns within each of us. Let us approach life with the openness and curiosity of a child, eager to explore the mysteries that unfold before us. The world is not a static, predictable place. It is a dynamic, ever-changing tapestry of experiences waiting to be discovered. In our quest for meaning and purpose, we often overlook the inherent wisdom found in embracing nonsense. The universe itself is a grand cosmic dance, a playful manifestation of divine creativity. As one insightful voice once remarked, the world created by the divine is a form of nonsense, and one of the most important features of the divine mind is humor. Consider the implications of this perspective. What if the very search for meaning is, in itself, a playful exploration? Instead of striving to make sense of every moment, what if we allowed ourselves to simply be, to revel in the sheer joy of existence unfolding? Imagine life as a grand cosmic joke, where the punchline is not some profound revelation, but the realization that there is no punchline at all. The universe doesn't adhere to our human constructs of logic and reason. It operates on its own whimsical terms, inviting us to participate in its playful dance. The universe is a playful manifestation of the divine mind. He suggested that every facet of existence, from the tiniest atom to the vast expanse of galaxies, reflects this inherent playfulness. Just as a child delights in making up imaginary worlds, so too does the universe revel in creating and destroying, forming and transforming, without attachment to any fixed outcome. Reflect on the words of another insightful thinker. It is one thing to describe an interview with a gorgon or a griffin, a creature who does not exist. It is another thing to discover that the rhinoceros does exist and then take pleasure in the fact that he looks as if he doesn't. This perspective invites us to see beyond our preconceived notions and embrace the paradoxes and absurdities that define our existence. The rhinoceros, with its bulky frame and seemingly out-of-place horn, challenges our expectations and invites us to see the world with fresh eyes. It is a living embodiment of the universe's playful creativity, a reminder that reality is far stranger and more wondrous than we often perceive. Consider the profound work of Dante, who penned the Divine Comedy, an epic journey through earth, heaven, purgatory, and hell. In this masterpiece, Dante invites us to explore the depths of human experience through the lens of divine humor. Life, he suggests, is not a solemn procession towards some distant goal, but a grand cosmic drama in which every moment is infused with meaning and absurdity. In our pursuit of inner strength, we encounter the contrast between solemnity and lightness. Many spiritual traditions emphasize seriousness and gravity in their practices. Yet, as another insightful mind proposed, in all things spiritual there is lightness and therefore a kind of frivolity. The angels fly because they take themselves lightly. This notion challenges our conventional beliefs about spirituality and personal growth. What if the key to unlocking our inner strength lies not in serious contemplation, but in light-hearted acceptance of our true nature? Could it be that by embracing our playful essence, we align ourselves more closely with the rhythm of life itself? In our journey towards inner strength, we encounter the profound invitation to harmonize with the cosmic dance of life. Imagine, if you will, existence as a grand symphony each note and movement a unique expression of the universe's creative energy. Life is a dance, a playful manifestation of divine spontaneity and rhythm. Consider the rhythm of your own life. From the moment you wake until you rest your head at night, you are immersed in a symphony of experiences, emotions, and interactions. Each day unfolds with its own cadence, inviting you to participate fully in the dance of existence. The recognition of impermanence and change as fundamental aspects of life. Just as the seasons transition seamlessly from one to the next, so too does our journey through life evolve in constant flux. Watts often illustrated this with the metaphor of a river. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Imagine yourself standing by the banks of a flowing river. As you gaze upon its currents, you witness the continuous flow of water, never stagnant, always moving towards new destinations. This river, much like life itself, embodies the essence of change and impermanence. By embracing the fluidity of existence, we open ourselves to the transformative power of the cosmic dance. In our modern world, we often cling to a sense of control, striving to dictate outcomes and shape our futures according to predetermined plans. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. Imagine the freedom that comes with releasing the need to control every aspect of your life, allowing yourself to flow with the currents of change. Surrender, in the context of the cosmic dance, does not imply passivity or resignation. Rather, it signifies a profound acceptance of the present moment and a willingness to engage fully with the unfolding experience. Imagine yourself surrendering to the rhythm of life, like a dancer lost in the music, moving effortlessly with each beat and melody. At the heart of living in harmony with the cosmic dance lies the art of presence. The importance of being fully present in each moment without the burden of past regrets or future anxieties. The art of living, he said, is neither careless drifting on the one hand nor fearful clinging to the past on the other. It consists in being sensitive to each moment, in regarding it as utterly new and unique, in having the mind open and wholly receptive. Imagine cultivating a state of presence where each breath, each sensation becomes a doorway to deeper understanding and connection with the universe. In this state of receptivity, you align yourself with the cosmic dance, participating in its unfolding with grace and clarity. Imagine a child entering this world, an innocent soul filled with wonder and potential. How do we greet this new member of humanity? Instead of embracing them with unconditional acceptance, we often subject them to a subtle yet profound probationary period. From the earliest stages of development, society imposes upon the child a sense of being on trial, a candidate for humanity, rather than a fully recognized participant in the human experience. This attitude subtly permeates our interactions, our educational systems, and our societal structures. It sets the stage for a lifelong journey of striving, preparation, and deferred fulfillment. Consider the schooling system, meticulously designed to prepare young minds for the challenges of adulthood. From nursery school to graduate school, each phase of education is framed as a stepping stone towards a brighter future. Children are conditioned to view their current stage of life not as a destination in itself, but as a mere preparation for what lies ahead. Nursery school prepares us for kindergarten. Kindergarten prepares us for first grade. And so the pattern continues with each subsequent level of education, promising to equip us with the skills and knowledge needed for the next phase of our journey. Yet, amidst this perpetual preparation, a fundamental question arises: when do we truly arrive? When do we stop preparing and start living? This brings us to the poignant realization of how our cultural conditioning perpetuates the illusion of future fulfillment. Retirement, often depicted as the golden years of leisure and enjoyment, symbolizes the culmination of a life spent in preparation. Yet, for many individuals, retirement brings its own set of challenges and unmet expectations. We are taught to work diligently throughout our lives, driven by the promise that our efforts will one day afford us the freedom to indulge in the pleasures we've deferred. However, the reality often falls short of the dream. The pursuit of material wealth and status becomes an end in itself, overshadowing the true sources of joy and fulfillment that lie within us. Embedded within our societal framework is the dichotomy of work and play, a division that reflects deeper philosophical and psychological currents. Work, by its very definition, is often portrayed as a necessary but undesirable activity. It is something one must endure in order to earn a livelihood, rather than an endeavor that brings intrinsic satisfaction and fulfillment. Play, on the other hand, represents leisure and enjoyment activities pursued for their own sake, free from the burdens of obligation and responsibility. This dichotomy reinforces the belief that happiness and fulfillment can be purchased with financial success, leading many to equate material wealth with genuine well-being. Consider the allure of material possessions and the promise of pleasure they purportedly bring. We are inundated with advertisements and societal messages that suggest happiness can be bought and sold, that with enough wealth and status, one can secure a life of perpetual enjoyment and contentment. We accumulate possessions and achieve external markers of success. We often find ourselves trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction and longing. The boats docked in harbors, untouched and unused, serve as potent symbols of this phenomenon. They were purchased not for the joy of sailing or the thrill of exploration, but as status symbols and symbols of achievement. At the heart of our cultural conditioning lies a pervasive emphasis on living in the future tense. From childhood onward, we are taught to plan, prepare, and anticipate the next stage of our journey. We invest our time and energy in pursuits that promise future rewards, overlooking the richness and immediacy of the present moment. Confucius once wisely observed, "A man who understands the Tao in the morning can die contentedly in the evening." This timeless wisdom speaks to the essence of living, fully embracing each moment as it unfolds, rather than pinning our hopes on an uncertain future. Yet, our cultural conditioning often leads us astray, fostering a perpetual sense of dissatisfaction and unmet expectations. The concept of ego, the sense of individual identity that shapes our perceptions and behaviors. From an early age, we are encouraged to cultivate a distinct sense of self, a persona that distinguishes us from others and defines our place within society. This egoic identification, while essential for navigating social interactions and achieving personal goals, can also become a source of limitation and suffering. It fosters a sense of separateness and division, reinforcing the illusion that we are isolated individuals striving for recognition and validation. To tap into our inner strength, we must transcend the illusion of ego and recognize the interconnected nature of existence. We are not isolated beings, but interconnected threads in the fabric of life, a realization that invites us to cultivate compassion, empathy, and genuine connection with others. Consider the cultural narrative that frames our lives as a series of milestones to be achieved, each promising a greater sense of fulfillment and happiness. From early childhood, we are conditioned to believe that happiness lies in the future, just beyond our current grasp. This narrative begins with the promise that success in school will lead to a fulfilling career, which in turn will secure a prosperous and happy life. The joy we expected to find in reaching a particular goal quickly fades, replaced by the pursuit of the next objective. This cycle of deferred happiness keeps us perpetually striving, never fully arriving at the state of contentment we seek. Let us revisit the educational system, a prime example of how cultural conditioning perpetuates deferred living. From the moment we enter nursery school, we are set on a conveyor belt of education, with each stage preparing us for the next. Nursery school prepares us for kindergarten, kindergarten for first grade, and so on, until we reach the pinnacle of academic achievement. This process conditions us to view each stage of life as merely preparatory rather than as a destination in itself. We are taught to focus on future goals: graduation, college, a successful career, rather than fully engaging with the present moment. The implicit message is that life's true rewards are always in the future, never in the now. Upon entering the workforce, this pattern of deferred living continues. The promise of future fulfillment is transferred from the realm of education to the realm of career advancement. We begin our professional lives with the goal of climbing the corporate ladder, believing that each promotion and pay raise will bring us closer to the happiness we seek. We ascend this ladder, we often discover that the anticipated rewards remain out of reach. The initial thrill of a promotion or salary increase quickly fades, replaced by new goals and higher expectations. The culture of perpetual striving creates a sense of dissatisfaction, as we are always looking ahead to the next achievement rather than savoring our current experiences. Retirement, often portrayed as the ultimate reward for a lifetime of hard work, exemplifies the culmination of deferred living. We are led to believe that in our golden years we will finally have the time, resources, and freedom to pursue our passions and enjoy life to the fullest. Retirement is held up as the pinnacle of success, the moment when we can reap the rewards of our labor. The freedom and leisure we anticipated are often accompanied by a sense of loss and disorientation. The structured routines and external validations that defined our working lives are suddenly absent, leaving us to confront the existential question, what now? Integral to the narrative of deferred living is the commodification of happiness. We are inundated with messages that suggest material possessions and external achievements are the keys to a fulfilling life. Advertisements promise that a new car, a bigger house, or the latest gadget will bring us joy and satisfaction. The pursuit of material wealth often leads to a cycle of accumulation without fulfillment. The initial pleasure of acquiring a new possession quickly fades, and we find ourselves yearning for the next purchase. This cycle of consumption distracts us from the deeper, more enduring sources of happiness that lie within. Our cultural conditioning also reinforces the dichotomy of work and play, a division that perpetuates the trap of deferred living. Work is often portrayed as a necessary but undesirable activity, something to be endured in exchange for financial compensation. Play, in contrast, is framed as a reward for enduring the drudgery of work. This dichotomy creates a mindset where we view our working hours as a means to an end, rather than as an opportunity for meaningful engagement. We endure the present moment, always looking forward to the weekend, the vacation, or the retirement that promises leisure and enjoyment. This mindset robs us of the ability to find fulfillment in our daily activities, reinforcing the illusion that happiness is always in the future. At the core of deferred living is the pervasive belief that life's true rewards lie in the future. We are taught to plan, prepare, and sacrifice the present moment in anticipation of future gains. This belief is deeply ingrained in our cultural psyche, shaping our attitudes towards work, relationships, and personal growth.